Right at this corner over at Weston and Eglinton Avenue West, there happens to be a library, a community center, and a child care centers and many homes. So Mr. Tory needs to tell you, how many homes is he going to bulldoze? How many community centers, child care centers, and libraries is he going to wipe out in order for him to make this right-hand turn right at Weston and Eglinton, because that track apparently will now go right along Eglinton Avenue. That does not make sense. He needs to come clean and tell you how many homes will be bulldozed.
Tory to answer that question.
There are existing GO train tracks that are underutilized. We don't have to tunnel. We don't have to buy land. We can proceed ahead. That's why it will be done in 7 years compared to the 17 years of the plan put forward by Ms. Chow and God knows how many years in the plan put forward by Mr. Ford. We will tunnel where we have to, but we're going to get it done because the city needs us to get it done. It's urgent. The traffic is strangling us. People don't have the transit options they need.
Don't worry about that child care center or the community center or people's homes, Don't worry about it. Just go bulldoze the house.
This is John Tory being disingenuous with you once again, saying that we haven't built subways. You want a real transit plan? That is a transit plan. John, I know when you were playing the armchair quarterback, being the disc jockey or the talk show host, and I was working my back off.
You were working your backside off to get a guest spot on my show. You phone me almost every day. You love being on my show.
Your funding isn't correct, that we know, because you can't fund it just with TIFs, or you're flip-flopping. Because again, my neighbors in York, my neighbors in Etobicoke don't want an LRT running down the middle of Eglinton.
They're not going to get one. I remind you, Mark. I would remind you, Mark.
Just switched it around.
We have had far too many of these neighborhoods that we have allowed to remain isolated in every respect. Who do the moms call in neighborhoods like that to get their kid a summer job to make sure they have a productive summer that stays out of trouble? Who do people call to get help if they're single moms in any of those neighborhoods? How do we look ourselves in the eye when we haven't? And this is included in the last 4 years, done very much at all, if anything, to repair the state of some of the housing that we own and that we ask our fellow citizens to live in. These are things where we've been turning our eyes away because it's easier to do that. And I think what we've got to get is some results down at City Hall, and that means getting some financial help, to be candid, from the other governments.
I'll tell you, John, you're a slick-talking politician. You know, you talk a good game, John. Outside of this election, when have you actually went into Toronto community housing and actually helped these people? I've been in there for hundreds and hundreds of hours, not just in Rexdale, right across that city. I'm actually engaged with these folks. As you and your elitist group down there, John, you don't go into TCHC. You're from a whole different world, John. You are. You know it, and I know it.
If that's the case.
Once we build the Scarborough subway, they'll have an opportunity to expand and look for a job right across the city rather than being stuck right in one area.
Well, okay, but Doug, let's go beyond the Scarborough subway, because you and I agree on that. I too would build the Scarborough subway. But it goes much further than that, because the Scarborough subway actually will only do a small bit to help that person you talked about from Scarborough get out here for a job. And that's why I believe so strongly in Smart Track, which in 7 years can create a surface subway, not on the streets, nowhere near the streets, on GO train tracks to get people out to those jobs in Etobicoke. Your plan is not going to get anybody anywhere beyond the Scarborough subway, which I concede will do
Folks,
at the same time and proceed.
You know, we are talking about almost 1 out of 3 kids living in poverty. Yes, we can debate about public transit. That does not help these kids. That's why we need to create affordable housing so that the cost of living is not so high. That's why we need to make sure that kids have good food at the school, so that they won't be able to be so hungry that they can't focus on their learning. That's what we can do, because a lot of the folks that are on welfare have kids, and their kids needs to learn, they need to have an opportunity to be successful. And I'm the only candidate that talk about making sure that kids have good food programs in school. We need to expand it so that 36,000 more children have food in school.
How will you promote and build consensus on City Council and build working relationships with officials at City Council and at the provincial level?
I will not say, after having worked with them for 4 years, that I want to run away from City Hall as fast as possible to get away from those people. Because what you have to do is, and I won't complain as you did about the powers of the mayor and say we needed to have some sort of a veto that the mayor has over the council. What I will do is start by listening. There is a reason why God gave us 2 ears and only 1 mouth. And I think if you listen to the members of City Council, if you go in there determined to work with them and with the other governments, that is the question people are going to ask themselves. Do they think this man next to me here, who called the city councillors monkeys, is going to be able to work well with them when he gets down there, if he ever did? Or do they think he'll be able to work with the other governments? He told the premier of this province to grow up. I don't think that's a very good start on getting things done, including transit. Oftentimes when you talk about building consensus, there was a consensus to support these programs, and the only 2 people who weren't part of the consensus were you and Mayor Ford. And I think you weren't down there. Vote after vote after vote. In fact,
it is true.
99% of our agenda got through. I think you forgot, John. Again, when you were the talk show host, playing the armchair quarterback, I was vice chair for budget, and nothing gets through that city without going through budget, including childcare. So you're wrong. It shows your lack of experience down at City Hall. You don't have the experience to do that. There's a reason, folks. There's a reason, folks, that no mayor in this city, since the inception of this city, has ever been elected without sitting on council. I know you're used to getting everything overhanded to you with a silver platter, because that's what you've been your whole life. You've been parachuted in from the time you left university, the chief of staff.
Can we come back to talking about
appointed the CEO of Rogers. It's always been handed to Chow.
That is so hilarious. That is so hilarious. I know it. I know it. You've had nothing given to you. But the bottom line is this, Doug. When I've had any job I've had, I at least showed up to work. And you showed up for 30%
Mr. Tory,
of the
may
vote.
I, John, may I talk about children? This is about children, folks. We are talking about children. This is not a good role model.
Let me ask you one question. You think you know City Hall, that you haven't been down there and you don't know City Hall. What committee handles the purchasing? I don't know. That's what I mean, folks. Answer the question, John. You don't know because you don't have the experience, and it's not. We aren't ready for on-the-time job training right now. Very simple.
The fact of the matter is, I'll find that out first day
Well,
there.
you know something? You don't know, John. Answer the question. What committee is it? I'll make it easier. How many standing committees are there, John?
I think there are 5. Am I right?
Okay, well, wrong. I'll give you another shot. Here, let me get him to call a friend. You can call the mayor and ask him how many standing committees. This shows the lack of experience, folks.
This is for all the candidates. Richards asks, will you promise as mayor to attend the Pride Parade?
Yes.
I think I've answered this question already. I've been down to the Pride Parade. I donated $3,500 to the Pride Parade, and so I think I've answered that. As I said, I've been down to the Pride Parade. I donated the $3,500 of printing that they asked me to donate. And I believe in equal rights for everyone.
Wow. use a few seconds of my minute to maybe re-ask the question you might think about during the 2.5 minutes of debate, Doug, which is, will you march in the parade as the Mayor of Toronto, the leader of this city, whose job it is, I would argue, ladies and gentlemen, to bring all people together, to show respect for all communities, to bring Torontonians together, whether they are black or white or brown, to stop this division that we see in the city between North York and Scarborough and downtown and Etobicoke, to bring everybody together. And that's what the Pride Parade is about. It's about celebrating the fact we are one city, that we respect each other, that we respect people who are gay, that we celebrate the fact that human rights are respected in Canada. And yes, I've marched in the Pride Parade 8 or 9 or 10 times over the years. I will be there every year as mayor. And the question is, Doug Ford, will you?
Again, John, leave us pretty clear. I'll be the mayor of all the people, John, not some of the people. I'll be mayor of all the people. And I believe in equal rights. And I was down at the Pride Parade.
Were you in it, and will you be in it as the mayor? It's a difference between being around the Pride Parade. Doug, they're asking you, will you be in the parade?
I think I answered that question fairly.
In the parade? Did you march in the parade? Would you come to
You know
the parade
something,
next
Olivia?
time?
When I went down there, no, I never marched in there. I was on the side streets and having a good time with people. And I believe it creates some economic development. So do I support? Was I at the flag raising? Yes, I was at the flag raising. Again, I believe in equal rights for every single person in this city. That's what I believe in. I believe, I went down there, John. I have no problem going down again. That's
Would
my
you
answer.
actually come into the parade to join with other city
know something?
councillors, other elected representatives?
Let me tell you something.
Join the chief.
Let me tell you something, folks. I have no problem with the Pride Parade. I have no issue if you're gay, straight, white, purple, or pink. I know one thing. When someone calls my line, I don't ask them if they're gay or straight or purple or pink. I show up to their door, John, and you won't show up to their door. I find it ironic. John Tory talks about discrimination. He wants to discriminate people when it comes to transit, giving one part of the city the treatment of prop transit and the rest out in the suburbs, LRT. That's what you call
Mr. Ford, we're going to stick to the question or office.